Coming from the farthest reaches of the universe to challenge the worst toy repairs on Earth is the most powerful hero ever, toy-polloi. Parental guidance. This video contains scenes of Lego destruction.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and in today's video we are fixing up another vintage Masters of the Universe figure, and today it is going to be Stonedar. If you collect Masters of the Universe, you'll know that the vintage Stonedar and Rokkon figures have one very common problem, and that is they have a tendency to have their heads break off, and that is exactly what's happened to this Stonedar figure. So today I'm going to show you an easy way to repair him and reattach his head. Let's get on with the project. So here we have Rokkon and Stonedar, and these are fairly unique amongst the Masters of the Universe figures because they are figures that transform. At the moment I have them in their sort of figure modes, but they do transform into rocks. You have to rotate the heads forwards, you've got to fold their arms down, and then you've got to fold their legs down like that. And as you can see, he has now turned into a rock so that he can hide from everyone. It's quite a cool figure, but as you can see, the problem is that the heads often break off, and this is exactly what's happened to this poor Stonedar figure here. The head has snapped off. Now, why did the head snap off? Well, I've been looking at this and trying to work out exactly why it happens, and from my Rokkon here, I think I've worked it out. Basically, the head is designed in such a way that it's attached to this very thin little post in the middle so that you can rotate it forwards and backwards. But it's also designed so it looks like you should be able to twist it left and right, but unfortunately you can't twist it. So if you twist it more than a certain amount, you are liable to snap that post. And I think that's exactly what happens to all of these figures. People get them, look at the head and think, oh, I can twist that to the side, and they twist it, but because it has this large piece of plastic on the back that is sort of the rock texture to make it look like a rock when it's transformed, what happens is when you twist it, that piece of plastic then pushes the neck to one side and it snaps the post. And so that's why you find so many of these with broken heads. That post is quite thin and it's sort of designed to break. So how are we going to fix this? Well, you can see here it's a fairly neat break. We've got the remains of the post in the head there, and then the remains of the post on this other ratcheted piece that sort of moves back and forwards. So what we're going to have to do is drill some holes into these and insert a piece of Lego. But what piece of Lego? Let's get the Lego box out and I'll see what it looks like it will fit. So here we have my box of Lego pieces that I use to fix all sorts of toys, and the first thing we need to do is actually to measure the distance that we've got to drill into. So where the post is broken on the body, let's measure that. And that is about 3 millimeters across, which is perfect. And I think I know the piece that I will use straight away, which will be a Lego whip antenna. These are incredibly useful pieces. I'll put the number of the Lego part at the bottom of the screen. It's a long, thin post with a ball at one end and then a little Lego stud piece at the other end, but it is so useful for fixing toys. This middle piece is about 2 millimeters in diameter, so I think that will be a perfect size to drill a hole into that and make a repair. And I know they also come in lots of colours, and I can see straight away in my spares pot that I have a grey one which I've already used for something else. You can see I've trimmed the end of that off, and that's a very good match for the colour of this figure. You don't need to necessarily match the colour because it's mostly going to be hidden. In fact, I'm hoping on this all of it will be hidden, but if you do have a good colour match, you might as well use it just in case a tiny piece shows through. So that is the part we're going to use. Let's start drilling some holes and getting this figure put back together. So to drill the holes, I'm going to use a couple of tools. I've got a pin vise here with a 1 millimeter diameter drill bit in it, and I'm going to drill a pilot hole into both pieces so that I get it really nice and neatly lined up. And I've got really good control with a pin vise because you can go incredibly slowly. Once I've got that hole drilled, I'm then going to enlarge it with this little handy drill, which is a Tamiya handy drill. I've reviewed this before, so do go and check that video out. I will drill a 2 millimeter hole in it, and then that should be enough to insert this piece of Lego, and we can glue that in place. But the first part is to drill a pilot hole, and that is where this pin vise comes into play because you can do some really controlled drilling. So right, let's get these two holes drilled. I think the body is probably going to be the easiest bit to drill into. The head will be slightly more awkward, but let's just have a go. Yeah, you can see that's not bad. It's not perfectly centered, but I'm pretty happy with how that's gone in. Let's try and do the same on the head. Yep, again, not bad at all. I'm pretty happy with how that's going. Now we can drill the slightly larger hole using the handy drill. Again, I'm going to go pretty slowly, and I want to go in on this one as deep as I can go, so sort of 5 or so millimeters. I'm not quite sure how sort of deep you can go on this piece because I have no idea what the inside of it looks like, so I'll just drill slowly, see what happens. And on the head, I can just about see where the ball joint is, which is fairly far up. So again, about 5 millimeters in, I reckon it will be enough. And then we can start inserting this in and gluing it and see what it looks like. So as you can see, that's gone in pretty easily. It's fairly soft plastic, so actually drilling into it is not that hard work. You could have done all of this with a pin vise, but I'm finding the handy drill a very useful tool. So that's the first part drilled in, and a pretty tight fit as well, so you could probably get away with not gluing it, but I will glue that in the end just to make a very strong fixing. So yeah, that's good. Let's do the same on this head. Okay, that has not gone so easily. The post is quite thin, so I think what I'm going to do is actually change up to a 1.5mm drill bit, and I will do it with the pin vise. I have much more control then. I think that is possibly a bit too forceful for this fix. So yeah, let's change this up and do it in a couple of stages. We'll do a 1.5mm hole, and then we'll move up to a 2mm. But I think, yeah, it will work, but that's just the wrong tool for this job. Now that we have both of those holes drilled, we can go ahead and glue this piece of Lego in. I'm just going to be using a small amount of super glue. You really don't need a huge amount because most of the work is being done by the Lego piece. The super glue is just to hold everything in place. So just a small amount of super glue onto the end of this piece of Lego like that, and then we'll push that into the post on the head first. Just make sure that's nice and stuck, which it feels it is, and then we can trim this post down because I know that I've drilled in about 5mm onto that. So if I trim this off, I'll trim it slightly long at the moment, and then we can trim it down a bit shorter just in case I have actually drilled that hole a bit deeper. So let's do a quick sort of push fit and see if that fits. I think it probably will. Oh, do you know what? That fits really nicely. Does that actually work? Let me rotate that forwards. That does. I actually think I'm going to leave that unglued because it is quite a strong push fit, and it means that if I ever want to, I can remove this head again and change the fixing. If I glued it in place, it would be sort of permanently there. If you were fixing this for a child or someone younger, I would definitely glue it in place, but as this is for me and it's only going to be sort of played with lightly, and I know that this will always be like this, I'm not going to bother today. But that is a very good fix. That really does work nicely. So let's tidy up the desk and have a look at these figures all finished. Since filming that last shot, I did actually put a little bit of glue on that head because I thought, well, I'm very unlikely to come back to this fix, so I haven't actually now glued that all in place, and I've left everything for about 20 minutes just to make sure that everything is dry. So now let's do a full test on this figure and see if we can actually transform him. So that head rotates down, his arms rotate forwards like that, and then his legs rotate down like that, and he ends up looking like a piece of moon rock, and you can hide him from all of the other figures. It's a really nice feature and a really nice toy, and I'm glad to actually finally have both of these in my collection. I'm still missing the weapons, but I don't think the weapons make that much difference to them because mostly I'm going to be leaving them in their rock modes. It's a fun figure, and that is a particularly easy fix to do. Just needs a piece of Lego and a little bit of drilling. So there we go, that is it for this project. If you have a Stonedar or a Rokkon that has a broken head, as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward fix. I need to say a massive thank you to Christopher and Courtney, who very kindly sent me in this broken Stonedar. It's been a fun little project. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And if you've really enjoyed it and want to help me out here at toy-polloi, then why not think about becoming a patron of the channel. You get early access to all of my restoration videos, plus access to an exclusive video series called On the Cutting Mat, where I show projects and restorations that you won't see anywhere else. So have a think about that, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos.